Hello, guys. Today we were blessed because Amy followed her gut feeling and joined me in this episode in our humble podcast. Thank you, Amy, for following your gut feeling.
Thank you for having me. Very grateful to be
I'm
here.
blessed. I'm honestly blessed. So, you, I'm following you. I love your work.
Thank you.
I believe in the gut health so much and how it affects the well being as mental, physical, and even spiritual.
Everything.
Because
It's the whole package.
it's a whole package.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell me, please, your journey and related to the gut health and how did you learn and tell me, please.
It's a long story.
I would love to hear it.
A long story, but I guess I didn't always know it was the gut. That's the big thing. And that's what I want to tell everybody. Like, all of these problems you're having are coming from your gut. So let's go way back. For as long as I can remember, I've had stomach problems.
Okay.
And nobody could ever tell me what it was. And I mean, like, primary school age. I remember primary school, like, I was having bad skin. It's not normal for a child
Yes.
to have this.
Yes.
Then, like, all through secondary school, like, constant discomfort.
Yeah.
You get the usual, like, you have IBS. Okay, how do I heal it? There's no cure.
Okay.
Okay, do I just live with this forever? And basically, yes. So yes, all through secondary school, constantly had gut issues, but I didn't know what the gut was. So I was sent from doctor to doctor, specialist to specialist. Nobody could give me answers. So it got to the point where everyone thought I was crazy, including myself. I thought, this is in my head. Like, I didn't know what was causing this. Then
Yeah.
they tell you, like, you're gluten intolerant, you're dairy intolerant. I tried every diet under the sun, every exercise under the sun, nothing would work. Everyone would tell me, like, oh, it's just in your head. And I would say, like, I look pregnant, really. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Like, I would have to take a picture and my stomach would be, like, really 9 months pregnant.
Yeah.
And until I
Very
took,
bloated.
but the pain,
Yeah.
I can't describe. So everybody would say, like, it's in your head, you're just paranoid, typical teenager. And I remember, this is stuck in my brain so clearly. I saw my first therapist, nothing to do with my stomach.
Yeah.
And she told me, very old school psychologist, and I told her, like, you know, I really struggle, like, with, if I look in the mirror and I see, like, my stomach being very swollen.
Yeah.
And she told me, like, professional, she told me, like, this is so stupid, it's in your head. And
Wow.
I remember being like, I'm paying this lady to tell me, like, she said to me, but you're skinny, why do you care about your weight? I said, like, you know, it's like I'm doing everything right, but I'm not seeing what I should see. And
Yeah.
nobody would believe me. So I also believed I was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Led to, like, extreme, I would say, eating disorder, because I was doing everything, but nothing was working. So I couldn't understand, like, I'm seeing people eat
So
all
stressful.
this bad food. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the stress was what was actually, but I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, I'm doing everything right on paper, nothing is working. Couldn't understand. And this was my whole, I would say, until my mid-20s, actually, like my
Wow.
whole teenage years, all of them.
Yeah.
And then I kind of discovered, like, the holistic therapy. Kinesiology was the first one.
Okay.
And this was the real, like, something is working
Something
here.
is working.
Yes.
Yes.
And I remember going to my first kinesiology session, and I told her, like, I'm having, like, stomach pains. And everyone told me I have IBS and they won't give me a cure. And she said, IBS doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah. And this stuck in my brain because I'm like, aha, you know, something has clicked here.
Yeah.
So she said, okay, lay on the bed and let's see. So she told me, she was the first person who ever mentioned, like, emotion. And there's emotion stored in your stomach.
I already love this person.
Yes. But I went home and everyone thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Because they came out and my parents said, oh, what did she say? Expecting it to be like, oh, you have some medical disorder.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's like stress.
Yeah.
And, you know, can you imagine telling this to, like, older generation people? Or
course.
even actually my generation also thought I was crazy. And I
Yeah.
remember, like, telling my friends, like, yeah, I have all these supplements to take for my nervous system.
Yeah.
First thing I heard of a nervous system, what is this?
Yeah.
And I was telling everyone, like, yeah, it's like from stress that I'm having these pains.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, you're crazy. So I was like, okay, let's see. So this is when I first maybe figured out, like, actually, yes, there's a trend here. When I'm super stressed, my stomach is super bloated.
Yes.
And when I'm very calm, everything is cool to mom.
You started linking
Yes.
connecting the dots.
Yeah, but it still took many, many years to figure out because I was in constant fight or flight system. I
Yeah.
didn't know what that was at the time.
Yeah.
But like
You
my
were
body
just
was
trying to survive, and you were listening
Yeah.
and hearing and being programmed all the time that this is a medical issue or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, but all my bloods were normal, all of the time.
exactly.
So like my hair was literally falling out in clumps. I was like,
Wow.
early 20s should not be happening. I'm so
Yeah.
healthy. I was like, perfect food, perfect gym, everything. Completely lost my cycle.
Yeah.
This continued like the whole way through my early 20s.
Yes.
And the first time I saw any improvement was the final year of COVID. I moved to Poland.
Yes.
So I left Ireland, basically. And I wasn't unhappy, let's say, in Ireland, but it's not my place.
Okay.
I have a lot of love for parts of it, but it's not my place.
You're from Ireland.
Yes.
Okay.
Can't you tell?
Yeah. It's as much as I look Egyptian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, everybody thinks I'm Russian.
Okay. No, you're not.
No.
Okay.
So, yes, I moved to Poland.
Yeah.
And I remember so clearly walking through the park one day. It was like summer. This was also my first experience of like sun, because Ireland, we don't get sun.
Okay.
And I remember voice messaging my friend from home, and I was like, it's so weird. Like,
Yeah.
my stomach is so healthy.
Yeah.
And she knew, like, from all of my years of complaining that this was not normal. I would rarely wake up and feel normal, honestly.
Yeah.
And I said, like, it's so weird because, like, I'm eating out all the time. I'm not being, like, super healthy, but, like, my stomach is so good. Like, no pain, no bloating. Like, my parents were, like, thinking I wasn't eating because I looked so lean.
Yeah.
They were like, what's going on?
What's going on? Yeah.
All of the stress had left my body, and I looked like a new person, really. Like,
Yes.
if you put a side-by-side picture, people would think it wasn't the same person.
Yes.
And this is when I really was like, okay, like, I need to investigate more here. So I would like start to link all of the times in my life when I would look like someone popped a balloon. It's all I can describe. Like, my face, everything would just like
Yeah.
flush out.
Yes.
Even though I was eating so much more food, eating bad food. Like, I was eating pizza, I was eating out. Whereas like previous to that, if someone told me you're going to a restaurant, like, no. I would
Yeah.
actually get so anxious about it that I would get worse. At
Yeah.
the time, I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
And I started to realize it's because I've like changed my environment. I'm in a place where I am truly happy.
Exactly.
And
Well,
my body was
your
a reflection of
emotions
this.
are balanced, so your
Yes.
body is reflecting this. And do you know? Let me tell you here some information about the body. The body, when it's storing emotions, it starts to defend itself so much that it stops the ability of the release, as in crying, sometimes peeing, losing water from your body, losing unnecessary things from your body, toxins, whatever. So your body's like retaining everything
This was
as if it's like frozen and can't let go of anything. And then when you change the environment or the habits or and you start to balance your emotions, then everything starts to flush away.
But actually,
And you transform.
I had never felt like soft.
Exactly.
Like, that sounds
Exactly.
crazy, but it was like I
Exactly.
spent my whole life being tense from like all this held emotion. From like, I later learned it was from like lots of things from my earlier years that were like trapped inside me.
Exactly.
So, okay, life happened, so everything was great. I was feeling great, looking great. Then life,
Yeah.
life happens.
Yeah.
So I stayed in Poland. Everything fell apart. So I went through a pretty bad breakup, very bad breakup.
Yeah. I call this the trampoline. We keep falling down, but we think we're gonna fall on the floor. But then we fall on the trampoline and we go bounce back up higher than we were before.
Yes,
So please just
it took me a
please
long
just-
time to bounce.
yeah. The more you resist, the slower you go down. But the more you let go, the faster you go down. But the quicker you go up,
Yeah.
back up. Yeah.
So this was like, oh my God, like I'm in a foreign country alone. I have no family.
Yeah.
I had nothing. I had just like bought a house. I mean, I had everything actually. That sounds very,
Yeah.
I had a lot, but at the time I was like, everything was unknown for me.
Yeah.
And of course then my body reacted again. So
Yeah.
once again, it was back to like this constant pain, this constant tension. And I remember calling my mom and telling her like, I'm just so tense. I couldn't like let go of anything.
Yeah. Restless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just constant state of anxiety, like the worst I'd ever felt before.
Yes.
But maybe because I was able to recognize at this time, I knew what was going on.
Yeah. More conscious, more present, being able to catch the emotions more. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd been in like bad situations before, so this was like typical example of, like I said, like I knew in the back of my head, okay, I'm in so much pain, but I know this has to end. And thank God that I knew that this time, because I was like, I don't know when, but this is going to get better at some point.
Yeah.
And this was the only thing that like pulled me out of that spot.
That's the ingredient of life being active in you.
Yes.
So defined, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gave myself a timeline, and this was like after Christmas, like New Year, really bad start to the New Year. And I said, okay, by Easter, I think it was like April of that year, I said, like, I am going to be okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't okay when I was saying this, but at the time I said, by April I can be broken until like March, and then I'm like, okay, halas, like I need to move on.
It's cute that you're putting a time there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did something crazy, and I booked a I booked my first solo trip to Vietnam. I had
Whoa.
never really done, I had done like Europe, Italy alone, but
Interesting.
like I was going to Asia alone.
Yeah.
While I booked this while I was very broken.
Yeah.
So I called my mom and I was like, I'm going to Vietnam. She's like, with who? I was like, alone.
Yeah.
She's like, you're crazy. Like, you can't even survive at home at the moment. How are you going to do this? I said, I don't know, but watch me.
Yeah.
And really, there was like, I said, there is nothing stopping me from doing this.
That's your soul. That's your soul, like getting stuff done.
Yeah.
It knows what it wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Easter came. I went, and it was like the scariest thing I've ever done. I cried so much. It was like the first time of like, oh my God, I'm like a girl alone if something happens. But I thought, you know what? Like, nothing can beat the pain that I was in January. And that ended. So this has to end.
Exactly.
So I did 2 weeks of this. And I remember coming back and I was like, I can do anything.
Can I
Really?
tell you something about the brain too?
Mm.
The brain has this scale in it.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you're in pain, it's weighing the pain, and it's weighing the pain of going out of the pain.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever it happens, and this pain of being in the pain becomes more of the pain that of going out of the pain, you do this.
Yeah.
This happens.
That's exactly what was happening.
And that's the ingredient of life being active in you. That's the beauty of life. That's the idea of you being in the darkness, and darkness is sacred too. It's preparing you for your light.
And I'm so grateful that I had that darkness.
Yeah,
Not
of
at the
course.
time, but now, yes.
Yeah.
So yes, I came back from Vietnam and I thought, like, I am capable of anything. I
Yeah.
felt like Superwoman, really.
Yeah.
And it was such a small thing, but for me it was so big.
Yes, of course.
And then I was like, oh, I'm now a solo traveler. I'm those people you see on Instagram who like,
Yeah.
solo traveler in their bio.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this like a thing. I'm gonna do this again.
Yeah.
And this was like, I got a real thirst for it. I always kind of had a travel bug, but this was really like, oh my God, like I want to see more of the world.
Yeah.
And I came back, and at the same time I started to get introduced to the Arab world, let's say. It all kind of happened at the same time. So I
Yeah.
started meeting groups of people in Poland, but who were from like Middle East, North Africa. This was so new for me.
Yes.
And I was like, these people are like Arab and Muslim and they're normal.
Yeah. Yeah. How
It was
come?
crazy for me, crazy,
Yeah.
because this
Yeah.
is not how we were raised.
That's true.
in the
Whenever
West.
I used to travel, I traveled in many places
Mm-hmm.
in the world, and whenever I used to travel, especially in Europe, and like very long time ago in the States too, people used to view me as you speak
Terrorist.
English and you're Arab and you just do things that we do. That's really weird.
It's
man.
really how I felt.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, I'm meeting these people and like they're doing normal things. It was crazy for me.
Yeah.
And then this kind of happened at the same time as discovering solo travel. And
Yeah.
I had a friend who was from Tunisia. My best friend is Algerian. I'd never even heard of Algeria. I was like, where is this? I had to look it up on a map.
Where is it
how
on the map?
uneducated I was, really.
Yeah.
And I was like, I started seeing these things on Instagram of Tunisia. I was like, oh, this place is really beautiful. Like, why have I never heard of this country?
Yeah.
And then I started, my friend had lived there, and I said, like, I think I want to go to Tunisia. And they're like, yeah, go for it. And I started to Google it, and there were like, all of the bad things were coming up, like
Oh.
the shootings, the terrorism,
Yeah.
all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And this kind of intrigued me more. So I was like, oh, everyone's telling me don't go there, I want to go there.
But you resist persists, like, yeah.
And the more people were saying no, the more I was like, yes. Like, if you
Yeah.
keep telling me don't go there, I'm going to go there.
Of course, yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
So
That's good, actually.
I went alone, and everyone told me, like, you're not coming back. like, this is the stupidest decision you've ever made. Like,
Yeah.
Vietnam was one thing, but this was kind of normalized. Like, girls go there and solo travel, but like Tunisia, crazy.
Yes, it is crazy.
It wasn't. Crazy good, yes.
Yeah, it is crazy.
So I went, and it was like the best trip of my life, really.
Wow.
Like, Vietnam had nothing on this place.
Oh, even.
Yeah.
I never went to Vietnam. I always heard it's very interesting.
Yeah. It
But
was beautiful.
Morocco is Morocco. Yeah, has its energy.
Actually,
I know.
I didn't love Morocco,
Yeah.
actually. But Tunisia was like my
Tunisia.
first. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
no,
thought-
I've also been to Morocco,
yeah.
so yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
all right. Okay.
And this is where I like discovered, I would say, everything. So like solo travel,
Yeah.
Arab culture, and like Islam as a whole. It all kind of like came together.
Yes.
So this was my first time like seeing people with nothing,
Okay.
but so kind.
Yes. So alive. Not just living.
I couldn't comprehend, like, how are these people having nothing, and like they're just so happy.
Yeah.
Like, they're literally sitting on the street, like there was no stress, no like getting up for work at 9 o'clock every day, like
Yeah.
waiting for 5 o'clock Friday. And this really opened my eyes to the world, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
From Tunisia, I went to Algeria, and my friend was back home visiting his family, so I stayed with his family.
Okay.
And this was like the biggest moment, I would say, for me with like discovering this part of the world. So we drove from Algeria to Tunisia, and on the way the car broke down.
Oh. Okay.
This was like peak summer, so you know how summers are here, like 40 degrees. You know,
Whoa.
I'm very white. I'm very I'm very not able for this heat.
It's not what you're used to.
No, this was like crazy for me.
Yeah.
The car broke down, and we were in basically like desert. I would
Yeah.
say, very Bedouin area.
Yeah.
No signal, nothing, just heat.
Yeah.
And like, what do we do?
Yeah.
So we ended up, there was like one house close by, and they came out, typical, you know, very kind hearts. They came
Yeah.
out and they're like, oh, how can we help? So we ended up staying we had no choice. We had to stay in this place for like probably like 4 or 5 hours. I
Okay.
couldn't leave the car because I was not dressed appropriately,
Yeah.
let's say, for like Bedouin area.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on getting out of the car, so
Yeah,
I wasn't
which is-
prepared for this.
Yeah. Completely understood.
Yeah.
Of course.
And the car broke down beside a bin, a trash can.
Okay.
So can you imagine this heat, and all of the flies are around
Oh my
the
God.
trash can, and I can't leave the car.
That's not a nice combo. Yeah.
But in the meantime, this family were like very poor. They didn't really have anything,
Okay.
but they were so kind.
Yeah.
And they ended up, they kept saying like, tell her get out, like we will leave, we will cook dinner. And my friends were like, no, because you know, they knew that this food was like their weekly food probably.
Yeah. Exactly.
We stayed there so long that we had no choice but to eat. And this was like, I would say, probably the biggest transformation point like for me
Yeah.
in my 28 years.
Yeah.
They came with like, all of their food, everything from their dinner,
Yeah.
gave it to us, offered us their house to stay for the night. I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't comprehend what was happening. Like, this is the place that everyone told me I'm going to be attacked, and you know, all of these bad things are going to happen to me here.
Yeah.
So when I came back from that trip, I would think this was like very transformative for me.
Yeah. Happiness is in giving.
Yeah,
It's
Absolutely.
in giving.
yeah,
And these people understand that happiness is in giving. And the dopamine you get in your, and serotonin that you get in your brain when you do an act of kindness is a lot. And
Unmatched.
it's so rewarding, by the way. If you ever felt stuck, just go do one act of kindness, very simple one. You will get unstuck
yeah.
completely. So these people, somehow it's in their blood. They understand that they just do it with pleasure. You're
They
not
don't want
burdening
anything
them.
in return. This is like the biggest.
You're not
thing.
actually, you're kind of giving them. They feel like you're the one who's, they're pleased to do it.
Yeah.
I know these people because like my roots are from them.
Yes,
so I
yes,
know
yes.
that
You
they're
are
just,
these people.
thank you. You, come on, it's frequencies meet. So
Yes.
you have this good frequency too. That's why the universe got you to these kind people. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So when I came back from this trip, I was like, oh my God, like my life has just started.
Yeah.
Really, like I was like, I'm 26 and I've just been reborn.
yeah.
And then it was also like this opened up everything for me of like North Africa, and I was like, oh my God, there's so much more of these countries. I wonder, like, are they all the same?
Yeah.
And I booked a flight to Jordan. Petra is like on my bucket list. And then unfortunately the flight was cancelled. And I was like, oh, I still want to go somewhere. Let's go to Egypt.
Okay.
And my friends were like, this is the worst place you can go, like a
You
girl
should.
alone.
Not
like,
for beginners.
really, they told me like, Amy, like if you go there alone, you're not coming back.
Yes.
I was like, watch me. So I did. I came alone last February, so like a year ago exactly.
Oh.
And I don't even know where to begin.
Tell me about it.
I don't know how to.
Egypt has its energy. It's very intense. It will take you and like give you exchange energy with you intensely.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you. You went to different places of Cairo, like Egypt and Masr, because we have two Egyptians.
أنا بحب مصر.
Yes, exactly. So Masr, wow, Masr, you know Masr and you know Egypt, you know both. So it's really gonna go and be absorbed in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely like the Mosra girl. Like I'm not the Egypt girl.
I really appreciate you.
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Thank you.
So I had one rule that when I was traveling to these places, it was like if the tourists are going there, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
So everywhere I went, they were like, "Oh, tour guide here." I'm like, no, like I don't want to go with other foreigners. I want
Yes.
Egyptians to take me places, like local
Yes.
places.
Yes.
And again, everyone said like, "Oh, it's so dangerous. It's so stupid." And, alhamdulillah, I had no bad experiences, so nothing really scared me. I was like,
Yeah.
I survived the last one. I'll survive this one. And I went on a day trip to Fayoum alone. Just me and the driver. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't a guide. They didn't speak English. We still spoke. There
Yeah.
was no English. There was no common
But,
language.
like,
But we just could
yeah.
speak somehow.
Yeah.
Like the Bedouin people had like zero English. I had no Arabic at the time, but it was the best trip ever.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't know if I can get like political in this.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Cut this bit.
Yeah.
At the same time, the war, genocide, was happening in Palestine.
Okay.
Again, I'd never heard of Palestine. Like, what was
Even-
this place? Before
even-
this, I'm telling you,
Oh,
in
God.
Europe, we were so like
Yeah.
unaware.
In your
in a
Europe.
bubble,
Yeah.
because it didn't affect us.
Yeah, of course.
Still doesn't, so that most of them don't care.
Yeah.
So yes, this was happening, and I had maybe started to be aware of this because I had Arab friends.
Yeah.
So because my circle was becoming more Arab, I was seeing these things on Instagram like being shared, and I was aware of what was happening, let's say, but not like very, very invested, sharing like Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And then when I came here, I realized, oh, like that's beside us.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this, dreamland that was like, the other side of the world. I was like, it's just across the border.
Exactly. Yeah.
And more so that I was seeing local people, and it was like so familiar to what I was seeing in the videos, and I'm like, this could be those people.
Yeah.
So something like really triggered with me. Like I had such a connection with Egyptian people. I met such amazing local people, all unplanned. Like none of this was planned,
Yeah.
apart from accommodation. And now even I don't plan this part.
That's good.
I went from being like extreme planner to just like,
That's to an extreme believer.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's better.
Yeah.
It will work better.
It took a long time to like unlearn what I had been.
I call
teaching
this
myself.
the journey from the head to the heart. I call it
Yeah.
this name. It's the journey from the head to the heart. When you're a CEO of planning, you're here. But when you are trusting, you're thriving and you're here. You're not surviving. Here is surviving. Here is thriving.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I look at like my first trip from Vietnam, it was like on this day at this hour I will be here.
Yeah.
And then by the time I came here, it's like I don't know where I'm staying, but it's okay. And it was like the more free I allowed myself to be, the better each trip got.
Yeah.
Now I don't
Exactly.
plan anything.
Exactly.
So yes, I was here and I was like, okay, like these Palestinian people are basically the same as the people I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
So like it really like touched something with me.
Yeah. You felt how close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went back, and again, like everything was getting worse on the news. I was watching all of these videos, and I had met a friend here at the time, a photographer, who's now a very close friend. And I said, "Can you put me in touch with somebody who is in Gaza?" I was like, "You must know somebody. Like they're your neighbors." You
Yeah.
know?
We
And there were
always
so many
know somebody.
Palestinians here,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like in Europe, nobody. At the
course.
time, I didn't know anybody was Palestinian.
Yeah.
And he said, "Yes, like my best friend's sister is there living this."
Yeah.
And I said, like, give her my number. He's like, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know, but give her my number.
Just put me in contact with
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
So I'm a primary school teacher. That's a big part to have skipped. But
Wow.
yeah, so
Nice.
at the time I was director of a British international school in Poland. So like had very good job, had the perfect life on paper, let's say.
Yeah. On paper. Yeah.
just on paper. I liked my job. I wasn't like unhappy there.
Yeah.
But I had so much more to give. But
Yeah,
we'll come to
of
that
course.
part,
It's like you were unfolding through these chapters.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Exactly.
That's the journey.
This was just like, what people could see, but there was so much going on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes. Yeah.
So I said, okay, maybe I can teach her kids English or something.
Yeah.
He was like, do you think she cares about speaking English? Like their houses are being bombed. And I said like, oh, I don't know, maybe I can like distract them or something.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, like I will pass your number and let's see.
Yeah.
So I remember like so clearly sitting at home and I couldn't find her number because they were giving me the WhatsApp and I was like, this is the wrong number, like I can't find her.
Yeah.
Of course, because I was using Palestinian code,
So
it was
it's not
Israeli.
working. Yeah.
I needed to use an
Yeah.
Israeli one.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, give her my number, tell her text me. I won't get into like her details because it's personal, but
Yeah.
basically we got in touch and I said like, what can I do to help you? And she introduced herself and like she was a pharmacist. Their house had obviously been destroyed, they'd been displaced, and she had 2 little girls. And for me it was like the 2 little girls.
That's
and she was
a lot
saying,
of pain.
yeah. And I felt the pain. Even though I
course.
never met these people, I just got this message.
We're all one.
Yes.
So if you connect quantum entanglement, we call it, I heal by quantum entanglement. If you entangle with someone, quantum, you can feel their emotions, heal their emotions, absorb it, give it.
And I'm very sensitive, so I was absorbing everything,
Yeah.
which was quite bad. But so she
Or maybe you were meant to heal her somehow. Or like help
wait
her.
for the next part. There was a reason it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So I said like, what can I do to help? And she said like, we want to rebuild our home. We kind of know it's not possible, so like we want to evacuate to Egypt.
Whoa.
So I said, okay, how do we make this happen? At the time, the border was still open,
Yeah.
and she said it was $16,000.
Exactly.
So in my head, I'm like, I'm very stubborn, and like if I get something in my head, nothing is going to stop me. So she said $16,000, and I replied, I said, okay. ما فيش مشكلة. Like I'll do it.
Wow.
And I called my mom and I told her this story, and she's like, you're crazy. Where are you going to get this money from? I said, I don't know, but like I am going to save that family. Everyone told me like, Amy, leave it. You can't save the world. Like you're one person. I said like, no, but I can save one family.
Yeah, of course.
And for 2 days I didn't sleep. My brain was just like, what can I do to make this happen?
Fried
And
brain, I call it. The fried
really, I
brain.
was like going insane.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my anxiety was through the roof.
Firing, heavy firing.
Stomach pains was back.
course.
Nervous system, like, but I was like, okay, this is so irrelevant compared to what's happening then.
Overstimulation. Yeah.
Exactly. And I decided, okay, I'm going to start an online campaign where I will ask everybody around. I needed something that people could join into. There wasn't just like one event. I had no time and no money to do this. I was like, it needs to be something quick. No
Quick,
resources needed.
yeah. American problem.
Yes, and I'm like the least political person you'll ever come across. Like politics is not my thing.
Makes the 2 of us.
Yeah, so people hearing I was doing this, they're like, what? Like, I hate this.
Yeah.
History, I don't like history. Like, totally not my thing. But like, I'm human, and these people were being murdered, essentially. So I said, okay, I came up with this idea that I would camp out and I would ask and everybody, regardless of where they were, to join me.
Yeah.
And everybody dissed the idea. Everyone. So I was like 2 days awake, like, this is amazing. Like, let's go. Everyone was like, this is such a stupid idea. And I was so disappointed that I was like, why is nobody supporting me? Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was such a good idea. And everyone was like, no, this is so stupid. You're not going to make any money. People will laugh at you.
Yeah.
And this drove me more to be like, who are you to make this decision? Like, at least I'm trying.
Yeah. Says who?
Yes, exactly. And they were happy to just like, let it go. You can't save the world. And like, okay, well, you don't have to, but like, we're billions of people. If everyone says like, I can't do anything to help,
Then
Yeah.
and changing one person's perception, even not a tangible thing,
yeah,
can have a domino effect or like a ripple effect on the whole universe, and
Yeah,
it will
exactly.
because we're all connected.
exactly.
We're all connected.
So I decided to run with the idea, regardless of people not supporting me. I thought, I don't care. I'm going to make this happen. Because at this point, I had this lady at the end of the phone sending me videos of 2 little girls speaking Arabic. I didn't know what was going on, but I know they're so cute. I need to save them.
Yeah.
So I was reaching everyone. If you saw my phone, like all of my Facebook messages was reaching random people everywhere. Like, someone help me.
You
make
really
this
need
happen.
it to happen.
Yeah. I didn't care what I needed to do to make this happen.
Yeah.
And I ended up finding some like Palestinian association in Poland. I knew nothing about these people.
Wow.
I messaged and I was like, I want to do this. Like, can someone help me or like tell me how to go about doing this?
Yeah.
And this Palestinian Polish man replied to me and he was like, give me your number. So I was
Okay.
like, oh, finally,
Finally,
someone is
someone
responding.
is alive here.
So he said like, my daughter will call you. So I said, okay. At this point, like anybody could have called
Yeah.
me. Like just any help was
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
And his daughter called me. So she was also Palestinian Polish. And she was like, this is amazing idea.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Wow.
Somebody is like, you know, with
Wow.
me. So she was like, I'm with you. Like, let's do it.
Okay.
So within like 1 week, we had all this like legal thing registered because okay, so we decided to camp out, and she had the idea to do it somewhere political. For me, I'm like, I hate politics. I hate anything like, you know, I
Yeah.
don't want. I never intended on it being like big. I just like do something, get the money, and you know,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
But she was obviously she's Palestinian, so for her it was much more political than
Yes, of
Anything.
course. It's like fighting for
Yeah.
the cause.
exactly.
Yeah.
And she'd been doing this for years. Like this wasn't just a last year thing for her.
No wonder why she's the one who called you.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But I'm so grateful for
Of course.
that call.
Of course. This whole story is like
Yeah, it gets
yeah,
better.
the best.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we agreed, okay, let's make this happen and let's sleep outside the embassy, American embassy, because the American embassy were,
Yeah.
yeah. So I said, okay, let's do it. I said, like, I'm gonna reach whoever I can reach to get this like a big thing. And like,
Okay.
I was not a viral person. Like, I'm like, I hate being in the limelight. Like, no.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'll do whatever I need. It's not about me. Do whatever you need to do for this family.
Okay.
So at this point, I told, like, she was still in Gaza, and I told her, like, I am going to get you and your family out. Trust me, like, I promise you.
I love this believing, you know, I won't interrupt you, but psychology, energy, life coaching, medical way of psychology, like being a psychiatrist, they all agreed on one thing. What you believe is what most matters. What you believe is what will affect you the most. So that you were believing in something. That's why you were following your
Even
belief.
though everybody was knocking me, like, it's not going to happen. I'm like,
Yes.
watch me.
But if you believe, then everybody's nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I ended up trying to make contacts with someone to help me make a video that would like reach a lot of people. So I ended up working with this company in the UK, and it was like a big, like, you can imagine my cortisol at this point was like,
Of course. Yeah.
my body, it was like,
Yeah.
really, there was like 6 weeks where I was just surviving.
High cortisol. Yeah.
I didn't
yeah.
even know,
Yes.
like, there was days I had no brain.
Yeah.
My only focus was like, get this family out. Like, in hindsight, it was probably quite damaging for me, but this was so minor in compared to what was happening there. So the time came, this became a huge thing. The video was like still on my Instagram and has like thousands of views. It was getting hundreds of comments. I'm like, oh my God, this is my face. I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know, do it for the bigger cause.
Yeah.
And yeah, it happened. We slept outside the embassy all night, and people came. So like, we were expecting it would just be me and her. Like, people would maybe donate online, but like, I remember arriving and like I was shaking. I couldn't even like speak. I was so
That's a deep
nervous.
experience, yeah.
There was news reporters, there was like newspapers, news, all of these official people, and like random people coming with Palestinian flags and posters. And I was like, oh my God, like, I made this happen.
You know, this is not hocus pocus.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is, you know what? This is you tuned on a certain frequency, which is so high.
Mm-hmm.
So you are attracting and creating all this around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was all building up to like getting me here today. I think.
Yeah, that's the idea of be on a certain frequency to receive the things from the, like, if you want to be rich, like, be rich inside, so rich things come
Attracts,
to you,
yes,
you
yes.
know, like,
Yeah. Don't trace, attract.
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So this event happened, and we raised, I think, like €9,000.
Wow.
No, not wow. Because everybody was like, oh, amazing. I'm like, no, I need 16.
Yeah, but still,
So, yes, this is what everyone was saying, but I
Still
was
so
so
good.
disappointed. So happy, but so disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what can I do at 9,000? And like, time wasn't on our hands, because
Exactly.
every time I'm opening my phone, I'm like, oh my God. And me and her had become like very good friends at this point, because you're trying to save someone's life. You have no choice but to,
You're
you know,
very close
you
and
build a
connected.
relationship. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, I'm going to take it one step more, and I'm going to go to the capital, Warsaw, because they had an Israeli embassy.
Yeah.
And you have to register with the police, and the police were like, no, like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I will do American Embassy, but in Warsaw because it would get more attention.
Yeah.
And they rejected it. So police called, and I was like crying on the phone to the police, and I was like, I have a right as a European citizen to protest.
Yeah.
And they said, like, if you come with people, you will be removed. He was very nice. The police have been like super supportive in the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, what do I need to do to make it legal? And he was like, come alone. I said, okay.
Okay.
So
That's doable.
Yeah, I said, like, I'll come. I'll be there tomorrow. I was like,
just want to achieve.
Yeah, literally. I knew how dangerous. They were like, this is not safe. Like, we don't recommend this. I said, like, you don't recommend.
It's like a politics thing.
Of course. And also there was a lot of, I live in like where Auschwitz is, like the home of concentration camps.
Oh.
So let's say not the most supportive of Palestinians.
Yeah.
But we have our community.
Of course.
So I said, okay, I will go. And they were like, we don't recommend. And I said, like, it's illegal or you don't recommend? And they said, we don't recommend. I said, so it's legal. So I will be there. And my parents went crazy, like, this is so dangerous. Like, you can't do this. I said, I'm really sorry. Like, I will usually obey what they want, but this time, no. Like, I'm going.
Okay.
And I went, and it was scary. The people in the embassy were horrible. Everyone there was horrible, except the police. And it was very official. Like, they took my passport. I wasn't allowed to sit on against the wall. So like I was there all night and I wasn't allowed to like lean anywhere.
Wow. That's a lot of looking in your fear in the eye. Looking to your fear in the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of growth. It's a lot of pain, but growth.
At the time I couldn't feel it. I was numb to every emotion other than get what I need to get.
Yeah.
And it was freezing. It was like Polish winter is very cold. So
yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. So I had gone and got like these signs printed, nothing overly political. Again, I said like I never want to make this about politics. I want to make this about save this family.
Yeah.
And I raised the money. So I stayed there all night. The next morning I was like so sleep deprived, cold, everything. I was like, but I did it. So there was like a GoFundMe link on my everywhere. I was sharing it everywhere. Yeah. And at this point I'm like, please, just somebody, please just give the last €1,000. And I think it took maybe like 3 weeks in total. And actually my church from my hometown, which I was never like a woman of faith, so it wasn't like I should have gotten this, but they were very supportive. They did a church collection.
Yeah. And
they donated the last amount to get us over the threshold.
Wow.
I will never forget looking and being like, we have the money. And like I called her and I was like, get out. You need to go to Egypt now.
Yeah.
Of course for her it wasn't that easy to just cross the border. I said like, I was to the point of almost having a mental breakdown. I'm like, just do whatever you need to get out, please, because like we've done this money. We don't have time. Like, just go.
Yeah. Actually, being able to collect this amount of money this way, I think it's like the deepest part, one of the deepest parts of your journey, and I believe there's a big win in it, other than that you saved somebody's life and you were channeling this mercy. Mm-hmm. But you at the same time went through a lot of growth, because the nervous system is heavily training. In the gym you work out to break down the muscle, then it rebuilds on a better, stronger form. Same for the CNS, central nervous system.
Okay, so yes, we reached the amount basically.
Yeah.
So I remember the day that it was like, okay, you need to go. And at this point she became like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm like, are you crazy? I've just like gone through the most stressful.
Like, not after all of this.
Yes, but from her perspective, of course, she was leaving behind like all her family. It was an easy decision.
And maybe she couldn't believe that you would really be able to do that.
And both of us were so emotionally actually unavailable, because we were so emotional. Like there was so much emotion, we couldn't think straight. There was like we were angry at each other, we were crying at each other. It was like everything going on. Excuse me. So eventually they crossed the border. And I remember so clearly getting the picture, a selfie of her at the Rafah border with the two kids and their husband, and I was literally like
heart melting.
Thank God. Like I think this was like really the best moment of my life. Like I don't know if anything beats this moment.
I love that you're sharing this moment with us, because it's a sacred moment. And
nobody could really it was like actually a very bittersweet moment, because okay, this family were now safe. I've reached the goal, but there was still a genocide happening.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like...
Yeah, you don't know how
I was struggling so much to comprehend, like, what's going on. Because I'm like, I'm so happy that I've got them out. but there's so many more people like
Yeah.
there. But then I had to accept I can't help everybody, you know?
Yeah, but you did like we're all. It's a collective thing. At the end of the day, we're really all connected.
Yeah.
So when you do that, you're kind of doing it in other um, parallel realities somehow.
And actually, it's funny that you say that, because some people were like, oh, you just saved one family, like you didn't do anything. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, it's 4 people who are alive. Secondly, I didn't just save one family, because this was huge news in Ireland. Like, there's an Irish girl.
Yeah.
She's not Muslim. She's not Arab.
Yeah.
She has no connection to this.
Yeah.
Why does she care?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many messages I got, like, literally, you're Arab, why do you care?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, how are people, like, able to ask this question? They couldn't understand. Like, and actually, I didn't fully understand either. Like, maybe it was, like, my Irish history. Like, we had this oppression years ago. Maybe it was, like, a part instilled in me.
Maybe it's soul calling and it's in your destiny and
I
path.
think it was just being human. And this is what I used to tell everyone. Like,
and this is how our nature is, by the way, being human and being kind and not wanting someone to suffer what these people were suffering.
I mean, the people who are able to watch this suffering and be okay with it, they're the people with the problem.
They
like,
have worse than the fight or flight or freeze status. They have the completely emotionless status. In my sessions, when someone comes to me and they tell me, I'm crying all the time, I'm angry all the time, I'm depressed all the time, I'm sad all the time, I tell them, you're fine. If someone comes and tells me, and this I hear a lot, you know what, I didn't cry since 7 years. You know, I don't feel joy or feel sad or feel anything right now, but I'm just doing great at work. I'm like, okay, the time bomb is ticking. When it's gonna explode, you know?
Yeah. We're just programmed for this.
Yeah.
So this got a lot of like media attention. So there was like radio stations contacting me, and I'm like, I never wanted it to be about me. And this was like what I was really afraid of from the beginning, that people would say, she's doing this for attention.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I wanted attention, I think I could do safer things.
Way easier.
Yeah,
way easier,
a lot less stressful.
Less effort, less stress, less.
Much safer, because you know, it's a dangerous position to put yourself in as like a European. You're dealing with like a lot of politics and.
Yeah, you can get really bullied and like you can get.
Yeah, I had some like not so nice situations, and also like the area I was living in, it was Jewish area.
Yeah, so like you're like
Yeah.
You're
And
bad.
this like took over my life for months, I would say.
Yeah.
So in the midst of all of this, this is still going on, but I decided I don't want to stay teaching.
Okay.
So there's a lot going on at the one time.
Yeah.
And I decided, like, it was around the time that I came to Egypt, actually. So like all of this happened like together.
Wow.
So bear in mind, I was like 26, had like very good job, had studied for all these years to get this perfect job.
Wow.
Everyone was like, oh wow, you have everything, like you have a house, you have this great job. And I was like, I don't want it, really. Like people were like,
it's all about how you feel, it's not about what you have.
I felt empty inside.
Exactly.
So like
exactly.
on the outside I had like, I had this great job and I had everything figured out, and everybody I was meeting was like, wow, you have everything figured out so young. And I'm like, really?
Let's say you
I
did
feel like this.
We grow up, the community, the world draws a frame for us and tells you, if you fit that frame, you're going to be happy. And then you fit the frame and become like one of the best actually in fitting the frame. And then you the surprise, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
So that's I love that, because that's usually a beginning of an enlightenment journey when it happens.
And I thank Egypt for that.
Yeah.
Because when I came here and
Motherland, the mother of the world.
Yes, because people didn't have all of this. They didn't have like, not everyone, but I was meeting all of these people who didn't have it all figured out, but they were so happy.
Yeah.
And I was going back to all the people who had it figured out, and they were miserable.
Yeah.
And I'm looking. I don't know if you've been to Poland, but typically they're not the happiest people.
Yeah.
Everyone
I've been not to Poland, but I've been to other countries like Switzerland, where people are.
I would say Europe in general, actually. It's like people are just like programmed to survive. Like you survive Monday to Friday, you 9 to 5, and then you repeat.
And then when you're old, you get grumpy because you became old and stuff like that. So that's not nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I had no life. It was like I was just getting up to go to work every single day. I loved my job. I loved my students. Like it wasn't anything about the job in particular.
Yeah,
I
but
was like, there has to be more to life.
we're
than
not
this.
here to. Okay, so humans. Okay, that's a very good point. The basic brain is the brain that forms first, and that's the reptilian brain. Animals have it, mammals have it. We're mammals. We as humans have something called the neocortex, which is the cortex is the basic brain where the reptilians animals have. We too have cortex, and then we have neocortex. Other creations don't have neocortex. Neocortex is the consciousness, is where the consciousness is. So yeah. I just wanted to say that.
So this was like a big realization for me of like,
Yeah,
oh, like this can't be it for the rest of my life.
yeah,
So yes, I decided. I went home at Christmas and I said to my parents, like, no, it was Easter was coming up, and I said, like, I'm not going back to school after Easter.
yeah.
Can you imagine telling your parents who've like paid for all of this education? They're like, you're crazy. Like,
course,
you've
yeah.
completely, like, this is crazy.
Yeah,
Everyone thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
And again, this was a thing of people telling me don't do it, pushing me to do it more. And everyone was
I've
like,
been there.
yeah, exactly. You can relate. And everybody said like, oh, you're just a dreamer if you think like, you know, that there's more to life. This is life.
Yeah,
I said like, this is not life.
yeah.
This cannot be life. So I quit my job. Simple. Like,
Yeah.
didn't discuss it with anybody, didn't wait to think about it, because I said like, I will change my mind and I will fall back into the safety net if I think.
Yeah,
So I quit with no plan B.
yeah,
And this actually allowed me to like fully put myself in this Palestinian situation, because I had no job keeping me in check, you know,
Yeah.
to like, don't talk about politics. I
Yeah.
was free to do whatever I wanted to do.
you got more courage.
I put my whole life into
Yeah,
like, I'm not trying to be a hero or anything, but everything, like all of my energy went into
you
like
went all in.
all in,
Yeah.
literally. And at this point, the family were here in Cairo. So they were here, so like, okay, tick. I've saved 4 people, literally.
That's the best feeling you can ever get in life.
Yeah, and then I was like very persistent with like sharing on social media, doing radio interviews, like just to open people's eyes.
Yeah,
And like, I'm from a very small town, so it did open people's eyes, because
Yeah.
like, it's a small village, everyone knows who you are.
yeah,
And it was like, oh, did you hear, like, you know, Amy Sweeney is like, you know, on the streets for Palestinians.
yeah,
So it opened people's eyes, like, like, if she cares, like, maybe actually there's something bad going on here. And I know even like within my friend group, never would have heard about Palestine, never would have done anything about it. So I did open people's eyes on a small scale, but I believe everyone has the power to do that.
yeah, yeah,
So I continued that. I had more freedom to travel because I'd quit my job, and everywhere I was going was Arab or North African countries. So I went to different parts of Tunisia, I went to Morocco, and like everywhere I was going, it was like the same, like all these generous people, these kind people. And like I was discovering more of myself with all of this.
exactly.
And at the same time, I was discovering Islam.
Wow.
So I thank Palestine for this, because I was watching these videos of people losing everything, and they were like, Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Really?
It didn't make
Exclamation
sense.
mark. Yeah.
Really, like I was so puzzled, like,
Yeah.
why are they thanking God? Everything's being taken from them.
Yeah.
And I was getting all of these signs in my life, like very weird things. Like, for example, I would go to the supermarket in Europe and I would see like all these hijabi women. I'm like, what is going on? Like, my friends would joke with me, like, this is like being in a movie. Like, everywhere I was going, there was like something coming up about like Muslims.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I shouldn't ignore this. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna like open my eyes to this. And it was Ramadan last year, and I was like, I'm gonna fast.
Okay.
For health, it wasn't for religion. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, let's just see what this is
Yeah.
like. And then from there on, I was like getting more and more into, like, I started reading Quran, everything. And then something someday was like, you know what, you don't work here anymore, you don't have to be in Europe for winter. And I was like to my mom, I'm gonna go to Egypt for winter. Can you imagine telling this to, like, you know, traditional parents? They're very open-minded, but like this was a step too far.
Yeah, that's not related to being open-minded.
Yes.
That's like crazy-minded. What are you doing? You know?
And like Egyptians are trying to get out of Egypt, and I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I want to come here.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, maybe like, you know, go to Guna or Sharm el Sheikh. I was like, no, I want Cairo. Like, I want Masra, actually. I don't just... So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go for like 2 months and see. One-way ticket, but I will go home for Christmas, and then that's okay. It wasn't okay because I'm still here. So I did go home
we're
for...
blessed that you're still here. Yeah.
I came and like I should have been so scared, so nervous, but of course there were like difficult points, but my whole nervous system is at ease. It's the only way I can describe it.
It's your soul speaking to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
telling
don't know
you.
if there's like a part of me like that's Ana Mosreya, I don't know.
You also, yeah, in your DNA.
Yes. So yeah, back to the point that I came here in October, which was meant to be maximum until Christmas. And my parents were like, they had no choice but to accept this. But for them it was like, you Google Egypt, girl alone, danger.
Google Egypt girl alone. What
Really,
a simple way to convince you.
Really, if you Google this, like
Yeah.
the worst stuff comes up. So I don't blame them for having this mindset.
Yeah.
And also everyone thinks like this part of the world is all the one. So they're like, oh, there's a war there.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a different country, but you know,
Yeah.
I wasn't scared at all.
Yeah.
And I came and I did like the safety net first. So like I went to New Cairo, the nice
Safety
part,
net,
the safe
yeah.
part,
You went to Egypt, not Moscow.
and I
first.
hated it.
That's Egypt, not Moscow.
Yes, really. And I was like, this is not what I came for. And I've,
You know, I don't want to interrupt, but I want to say just that the body is smarter than the mind, because the body is the subconscious mind and it has a network of nerves all over, because the skin is the biggest organ and the skin is covering all our body. So the nerves are reaching the skin. So the body is so intelligent. So this is what you're saying is when your body is talking to you, you arrived to Egypt, you landed in Egypt, you feel relaxed, physically even. See, so that's your subconscious mind, aka your body, is telling you, okay, yeah, كله تمام. Yes. So when you go to a place or in a room or sit with someone, your body will speak to you, will tell you.
yes.
So that's why if we listen to the thoughts, we'll listen to the programming. If we listen to the body, we'll listen to the intuition, the gut feeling.
This like sums up everything, like what you just said, because okay, if you look at my Instagram, people say like, oh, she like talks about nutrition, and I'm like, no, I don't talk. I hate when people say like, oh, she's a nutritionist or she talks about nutrition.
I didn't see it like that, by the way. I saw
I'm glad because you know you're aware.
I saw a journey.
Yes, and
Yeah.
this is exactly what I want to like show. And so like the name of my account is in Irish, Togmalov, which means take my hand,
Oh,
and it literally means
What's the name?
like take my hand for whatever it is, because it's not about the food on your plate. It's not about, you know, like the how much you go to the gym.
of course
And like
not.
it drives me crazy that this is what is out there for young people and old people, for everyone.
Yeah,
This is how to be healthy.
yeah. No,
You know,
it's,
weigh your
it's,
food and go to the gym.
it's a lot of things together. They have to be aligned.
It's a whole package.
Yeah.
And this is why, you know, people say like, oh, you would go so viral if you just posted food. I don't want to do this. Like, I want people to see that the biggest pattern, if I like everything that I've spoke about for the last in this whole story, up, down, up, down. And every time I went down, this is what was showing in my body. So whether it was a pain, whether it was my skin, whether
Thank
it was my hair falling out,
Yeah.
it was never something a doctor was going to diagnose. And
Yes.
I've been there. I've been sat in front of countless doctors like, your bloods are normal, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello?
Yeah,
This is not
I went to a
normal."
doctor when I was young with my mother, and I had a skin condition, and the doctor was a skin doctor, and he told her it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
So she got offended. That's that. Anyways, I
remember-
forget.
I remember even like so recently, it wasn't like years ago, it was like in Poland, so in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I went like so many issues. And he was like, are you stressed?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, very. And he laughed in my face and said like, you should try and relieve the stress.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't comprehend, like, what am I hearing? Like, how
Yeah.
are these people, like, acknowledging, like, these symptoms as normal, and they're not, like, trying to find the root cause?
Exactly.
So this is why I'm not, like, overly confident in anything I do, but I am so confident that I can help people discover this gut-brain connection, because
Perfect.
it completely ruled my life. And it still does, if I allow it.
Actually, it does rule the life of everybody.
And I know even now, like, if there's something I'm, like, super stressed about or anxious about, like, it will show up, whether it's my skin or
Yeah.
my stomach or I'm super sensitive. I know not everybody is,
Yeah.
but I think actually everyone has this. You just need to discover it.
Yes.
And, like, all of these people, like, oh, I can't lose weight, I can't do this, like,
So do you agree with me that listening to the body can guide you to your true path?
it's like necessity.
Yeah.
You can't get there without.
Yeah, you know, that's the gut feeling, that's the intuition, that's the guidance, that's
Yeah.
the soul language. But we need to always be aware of our programs and our wiring, because if we're not aware of it, we'll get thoughts from it, and we'll think that these thoughts are coming from the body, or that's like a language of the body. This is never a language of the body. Actually, I always say the thought that keeps repeating is probably a trauma thought, or a wired, or a programmed thought. The voices that you keep hearing saying the same things. But your body, when it says the same thing, it's full of wisdom. You have to listen and understand what is this related to. And there is a huge ocean of knowledge that says every part of the body, by the way, is like anger is in the liver, guilt is in the gallbladder. I studied all this. And I know how to relieve some symptoms from the organs through just really like feeling the emotion or whatever. Yeah.
I think it's like essential to feel good.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. So, anything else you want to say, please? Still,
we have time.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to say.
There was something else you wanted to say.
There was something else I wanted to say, but I'm not sure what it was. But in general, that it was like
You will recall it and we'll come back to you.
That my body kept like screaming at me in different ways.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That everybody is chasing the quick fix and nobody wants to acknowledge that they're the problem. Like, it's inside of us. So many people will message me like, hi, I want to lose weight. Like, give me a meal plan. I've done everything, it doesn't work. I'm like, yeah, maybe because your cortisol is through the roof. Like, no pill is going to fix this. Everyone is like, go get an antibiotic. What's this? Ozempic.
Oh my God. It's a disaster.
Oh my God.
You said the keyword. Everybody wants the quick fix. Everybody wants the quick win. Everybody wants the quick money. Everybody wants the quick success. When something happens to me and I see, like, it levels up my success very fast, I worry because this is not how success is built.
And that's actually, it's all linked with like my Instagram.
That's like a lust, not love,
It's the exact same. Like, if I wanted to, have this huge following, I would share the stuff that people want to see. Like, weigh your food and walk more, and you will look great. If you don't fix what's in here, it doesn't matter what's on your plate.
Thank you for saying.
And it took me so many years to figure this out, and nobody would help me. Nobody would give me the answers. Like, if I can help one person understand what is going on, then my job is done.
Amazing. So you had you had the experience of many countries, many ways to connect to God, many cultures. Yeah. One advice, please, for whoever is watching us. Maybe it will transform their life. One advice in Ramadan.
Leave your hometown.
Leave your hometown. Leave your comfort zone. Go grow.
Make yourself uncomfortable again and again and again.
Yeah.
Like, when I feel comfortable, I'm out.
I totally agree with you. When I feel comfortable, you have to be out. You're actually expanding your comfort zone. You're not leaving your comfort zone. You're making it bigger.
You will never grow otherwise.
Yeah.
And I've done that repeatedly. Like, I could have stayed in Poland. Like, I was happy. I had a house, good friends, everything. But I wanted more. The same. I could have stayed in New Cairo. Was like the same place.
If you stay in one frame, you will not feel the joy of experiencing how capable you are as a human being. When you change your frame, and when you destroy the frame, you see the full potential of yourself, and you live very joyful by just seeing how good you are.
And when you stop following the societal norms of finish school, go to university, get married, have kids. Okay, if you want this, amazing, but it's not for everyone.
I don't recommend that people should want this. I recommend that they should grow, live their own path in life. Don't follow any steps. Yeah. I'm so grateful. Thank you. It's been truly a very fruitful conversation. I really, I myself benefited a lot from it. Yeah, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.